it's me, Claire, and welcome back to my Red Chair as we continue to celebrate the good news happening in our community every Friday. I'm so glad you're here. Happy Pride! This week, we're incredibly excited to have Cassidey Collins, School-Based Integrated Services Program Manager, Diversity Inclusion Committee member, and LGBTQ 101 trainer here at Synergy Services, join us on the Red Chair in celebration of Pride Month. And of course, to share some good news. Everybody, let's give Cassidey a warm welcome to the Red Chair. Cassidey, thank you so much for joining us here today on the Red Chair. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Well, we're so excited to have you here. Now, at Synergy Services, I want to jump in. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do here at Synergy?
Yep, so I'm the program manager of School-Based Integrated Services, and besides that kind of specific role, I am able to sit on various committees within the agency, and then I provide a few trainings to agency staff as well. So I am on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and then I provide training on LGBTQ 101. So we talk about terminology and definitions, bias, and then best practices when working with coworkers or serving clients who are in the LGBTQ community.
Our viewers, I'm sure you know we are celebrating Pride this month. We're very, very excited. Cassidey, with your involvement in these trainings, could you share with us why your involvement was so important to you in these trainings?
Yeah, so I have a very personal interest in being in the Diversity and Inclusion Committee and providing training to staff. So I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I identify as a lesbian, and so it was important to me to be able to sit at tables and advocate for myself, to advocate for my community, and luckily I have the privilege to do so. And then being able to do training and education again provides that space to have discussion and talk openly and have this really good safe dialogue, advocate, but then also as a trainer, there's the responsibility of training yourself and doing research and education. And so I think it makes me, a better advocate for the entire community, even if I don't identify within each sector. And so that's been really important to me too.
Great. Well, let me just say on behalf of all of Synergy, we're so thankful to have you here and your wealth of knowledge. So as we mentioned just moments ago, we are celebrating Pride this month. Could you share with our viewers a little bit about the history of Pride?
Yes. First of all, happy Pride, everyone. This is always an exciting time, to reflect and advocate and celebrate. And so Pride really began at Stonewall Inn, which is a gay bar in New York City in June of 1969. And it actually began as a riot against violence and brutality of the LGBTQ community. And then protests afterwards lasted about 6 days. And there was, a ton of folks involved in that movement, in that moment in our history, but there's a few who we always give credit to, which is Marsha P. Johnson, who was a Black trans woman, Sylvia Rivera, who was a trans woman of color, and then Stormy DeLarvia, who was a biracial lesbian. And so, like I said, it really started because of the violence that was being experienced. And unfortunately, we still have, harassment and discrimination and violence against our community still today. And there was activism happening in the 1920s, but Stonewall as this event really lit a fire under the community and under allies to really dig in and continue to do the work to fight for LGBTQ rights just in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, being on the show, our Red Chair Chat here today, we celebrate all things good news. And there was recently some good news happening in the Supreme Court with some legislation passed in support of the LGBTQIA+ community. Could you share this with us today?
Yes, very exciting news. So last Monday on June 15th, the Supreme Court ruled that sexual orientation and gender identity would be protected, and it's in conjunction with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 under Title VII. And so that had already included sex, race, religion, and national origin. But until last Monday, gender identity and sexual orientation weren't a protection for employees. And so that ruling is a huge victory for our community. Previous to Monday, there were 27 states that you could still be legally fired for your orientation or identity. And here in Missouri, there were minimal protections with public employees in regards to sexual orientation. But again, nothing about gender identity, which is a necessary protection for our transgender and gender nonconforming population. So very, very exciting news. And during Pride Month just made it even a little bit more special. we've had some victories, right? I mean, we've had what happened last week in 2015, you know, same-sex marriage being legalized in the United States was also a victory for our community. But there's still so much to be done. You know, we want LGBTQ people to feel safe at work, safe in their communities. You know, we want representation for folks, you know, in government and in business and in media. There's protection still lacking for children and youth who are LGBTQ at school. You know, and violence is still really high in our community, and especially in the transgender community. And so there's so much work to be done regardless of the progress that we've made. And so that's kind of what Pride Month helps us remember. It helps us remember where we've been, to give credit to those who, you know, paved the way for all of us now, but then be a reminder of the work that we have to continue. So, you know, education and training and exposure, and having, you know, open, you know, dialogue with folks that you know, giving back to organizations who support LGBT folks and serve those clients is really important. You know, supporting local businesses who are owned by LGBTQ folks, you know, all sorts of ways to be involved. And of course, taking part in Pride, although it looks a little different this year. You know, there are parades and events and celebrations that are being rescheduled for the fall. And so getting out in your community and taking part of that in a respectful and safe ways is always great.
Well, that definitely, Cassidey, is some good news. So thank you so much for joining us on the Red Chair. I know we only have a few days left of Pride here, but I hope we can continue to celebrate and continue to fight for the equality for every single person. So, Cassidey, thank you again for joining us on the Red Chair. Wow, that was some good news. But as Cassidey said, we're not done yet. We each have an opportunity to join in and become part of good news as we continue the fight for equal rights for all. On behalf of Cassidey and myself, Claire, thanks again for joining us on the Red Chair. Let us each continue to do and be better every day. Happy Pride, my friends. Stay safe and healthy. We'll see you next Friday for even more good news. Don't you forget, be kind.